Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. Yes, we have a new year about to begin. I always love this time of year, not for the resolutions that you're probably not going to do anyway, but for the reason that it's a clean slate. We start fresh. It's like you have a canvas and you can put whatever you want on it. And if that includes changing your life or even moving it forward, you probably should use a life coach because you can't do it alone. Even research shows that there's just no way that you can navigate everything alone. Your friends and family can only go so far. Why should you get a life coach? We're going to talk about that with somebody who's an amazing life coach and certified counselor at Wisdom Coaching. Genevieve Wisdom is with us. Welcome back. How you doing?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you, Steve. How are you today?
I'm well. And her last name really is Wisdom. It is.
I know.
Can't make it up.
You can't make these things up. I know. Steve, I have to tell you and your valued listeners something about my growing up with the last name Wisdom. It was horrific because kids, true to form, will make fun of one another based on anything.
Oh, yeah.
So they would gang up on me and call me Wisdom Teeth. Now everybody goes, so, but it wasn't just hi, Wisdom Teeth. It was Wisdom Teeth, na, 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 na. And I'd cry because I'd be the only wisdom around until I met my family, the other wisdoms. And later on, I go, oh, it's not just me. And Wisdom is
Mm.
actually a British surname. So it
Oh,
hails from England, England to Jamaica.
wow. And it's so
Yes.
funny you say that. And I just met somebody whose real last name is Shakespeare. So, and it's from the UK. So we've got a Shakespeare, we've
Right.
got Wisdom. Um, it's
It's the
cool.
new year.
But it's you,
Awesome.
and you bring a lot of wisdom into life coaching. What are some of those reasons? If somebody has been thinking about it, hasn't really pulled the trigger on moving forward with a life coach, what are some of the reasons why it's so beneficial to have one?
Steve, now is actually an amazing time for someone to think about a life coach. And one of those reasons is, as you said, it's a new year. A new year is coming up. And one of the major things that I find with clients who find me is there'll be a certain time marker, a certain event or time in life, like a new year, like a birthday, or they've given themselves 30 days, they have a new job. So, time markers. So, that's what we're going to talk about today, especially the time marker of a new year with those resolutions that we make and sometimes are unable to keep them alone on our own.
Hmm. When I think time marker, I also equate that with the word change because time is always changing, and the time marker could be a lifestyle change, could be a divorce, could be a new job. That's a change. All of these things, when these markers come up, sometimes is reason to make a change in yourself.
A
Things happen for a
hundred
reason.
percent.
You might not have even planned it, but maybe the universe is saying, now it's time for you to move forward, time to go in a different direction, right?
Exactly, Steve. Exactly. And I'm a great change artist because in my life, I've had to change a lot. And so, what I find clients like with their life coaches is that you understand. And so, I understand changing. And I say, come to Wisdom Life Coach for a change this new year, whether it be something that you think of simply or seemingly simple as useful aging, which is my platform, such as, my skin, I'm getting older. How can I look more youthful as I age? Oh, yes, Wisdom Life Coach. She can help me with skincare as well as nutraceuticals. But even going deeper, because again, another one of my tenets is beauty from the outside in. So we start on the outside and we go deeper and define beauty in a much more broad and deep way. And so one of that deeper beauty is serendipitous, finding love in the new year. As you mentioned, Steve, you know, things in life happen. They just happen, like divorces. And we may find ourselves, because I'm talking about useful aging, so those of us who've traversed life a little, we may need to find a new relationship, and it can be terrifying. Trust me, I know. I
Mm-hmm.
know.
Been there, done that.
Modeling. Yes, right? Been there, done that with the background. We just never know what life holds. And the great news is we change with those life changes, and Wisdom Life Coach can help you traverse all of that.
Yeah, and a lot of times when those changes take place, the first thing we do is we go into victim mode. Oh my gosh, how did this happen? But instead, flip it and look at it as an opportunity. Maybe that relationship wasn't really serving you as you look at it a little bit deeper. You have a little bit more foresight into it now that, maybe the dust has settled a little bit. Now you have an opportunity to maybe do life with somebody who does support and serve you in a different direction. But yeah, that what makes you very different is that you have a beauty background and you also have the coaching background and so much more, where not to take it away from another life coach, they don't have that modeling background, the beauty background. And they're all connected, especially, let's be honest, if you are getting divorced, changing relationships, want to change your life, you want to look good and feel good at the same time.
100%, Steve. You are so eloquent when you put things together, and it's like you know me. I love that. And that's what I hope that I share with my clients is I might throw something out and then they really understand that I understand them and fill in the gaps, and you do that. But certainly if you're having to change a relationship, for instance, you want to look good and you want to feel fantastic. Now, what does that mean? Well, the tenet of Wisdom Life Coach is looking good on the outside, because let's face it, Steve, we don't see the heart at first. We see what someone looks like, and there's nothing wrong with putting our best face forward. And when we've gone through things, sometimes we just wear it. We look tired. We've been through a fight, and now we have to revive our skin and look just more alive. And then we want to feel that way. So the nutraceuticals help with that as well. And you're right, I have a background in both the beauty side as well as the nutraceuticals. So what makes you look good and feel good is imperative. And then you also want to make sure that emotionally you do some work there. And so a life coach can help you talk things through. Now, if you have to go deeper, the great news is I call myself, my life coach practice, as I'm the general practitioner of life. So you come to me with things that you want to change in general, and we start there. And often, Steve, shockingly, just having that champion, your championer, come beside you, as in Wisdom Life Coach, Genevieve Wisdom, we can talk it through, do a plan, and you'll get there. However, if things are deeper, more deep rooted, you need more of a deeper counseling, or you need to go see a chiropractor because we've taken some supplements and your back still hurts. I can usually help you figure out what are the next steps if you have to go to a deeper practitioner, etc. So I love what I do because I start general, we talk it through. We start on the outside and we go way deep, Steve, to the heart of the matter.
It's like you're a cheerleader. You're somebody's cheerleader. That's really what it
Yes,
is.
yes.
How do you look at the difference between a life coach and a therapist? I mean, I have my thoughts, but and we may have skimmed that before, but now that we're talking about the main reasons for a life coach, how would you define the difference between the two?
Oh, absolutely. And so, a life coach, as I mentioned, it's more general, it's more talkative. And Steve, I have a psychology background. I did a triple concentration in applied sciences, so in kinesiology, gerontology, psychology, plus my nutrition degree from a university here in Canada. So I have the educational background. And the difference is in psychology, talking heals. Talking causes people to change, get you from point A to point B. And often when you come and see a life coach like myself, it's not necessarily because there's something negative or something wrong. It could be you have such great things happening, like a promotion, or you started a new job and things are exploding, and you're wondering, how do I now
Sure.
manage this new gift and my family? And my exercise and my beauty from the outside in. And so I help you with the general things in life through talking and action steps. Now, a therapist go much deeper into the counseling aspect, and they may stick with the subject and go over that subject again and again
Mm,
because you might need to do that. a life coach, I like to get us from point A to point B as quickly and as effectively as we can. But if you have something going on that's very deep, very painful, very traumatic, and you need to go deeper, then we can figure out wherever you are because I coach via Zoom. So I have clients all over the world, which is awesome. We figure out who in your area you can go to and get a therapist to go deeper and go over that one thing again and again. And Steve, just on that, one more point. I have had uh, my clients do that. They've gone to a therapist and then they take what the therapists have given them and they come back to me and I go, "You ready to move?" They go, "Yes, Genevieve, now I'm ready to move." And then we take that healing modality and we take it from point A to point B. I like to keep things moving. It's the rhythm and the reggae in me.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, and that's part of the having a life coach. It does move faster, and there's
Yes,
nothing you can't take anything away from therapists. It's all good.
not at all.
But sometimes you marinate the same stuff over and over again, um, which sometimes is beneficial. You need to do that to heal.
Yes.
And it might not be a therapist. Maybe it is a hypnotherapist that can, for lack of a better description, but I think it's the best one, get inside your head, your subconscious, find out what was going on in there, or what has been programmed from even your childhood that's holding you back. And now they come to you. And it's almost as if they have fuel in their tank and they're ready to, power forward.
Of course, 100%. And interesting you should say that about programming. I remember that I mentioned before when we started, or dance, I like to call it, Steve, because you appreciate reggae. And I really call this the rhythm of life. It's really the
Mm.
dance of life that we have to do. We have to keep changing and moving our life.
Yep.
We have or solid foundations, of course, but within those foundations, we have to be fluid and flexible. And we all know that. Look at the world we're living in. It's a changed world. And so talking about people going to their hypnotherapist, coming back and moving, I have had great teachers in life, and one, I believe it was a psychologist, as a matter of fact, mentioned that we're like records. Remember those old vinyl records, Steve?
Sure.
By the way, they're great for reggae, the old school reggae, those
Oh,
old vinyl records.
believe me, I played them.
Ah, there you go.
I
There you
played them
go.
for work. I'm, vinyl and vinyl's back again, but whatever.
Yes, exactly. So our lives can be like those vinyl records, for an analogy. And so often you put the needle on the record, which is you, and it goes right back into that groove. And sometimes it will skip if the record is scratched. So what you want to do is stay in the good rhythm, in the good
mm,
groove, and don't scratch your record. But sometimes when it's scratched, it will skip over things. And so what we do and what I do as a life coach is, let's clean up that record, let's buff that vinyl, let's make sure when you put the needle, which is you, your action, your changes, on the record, it stays in that beautiful music, that nice reggae song
yep.
that you want to play, if you will. And that's how life coaching works synergistically. And because I have the education, I understand how to put all these different modalities together to get you changed.
So we're talking about maybe a job change, a life change, and we skimmed a little bit on relationships. Why don't
Yes.
we go there now in terms of restoring relationships, finding new relationships? Somebody said to me recently in my journey, and this is somebody that a life coach actually. Um, she said to me, people your age don't usually find all new friends, and I did. I had a life change, different situation, and I turned around one day. I was like, "Oh man, all these people, I've only known them about 6 months, and I trust them, with everything." Um,
Yes.
I just kind of I didn't know I was even doing it, and it just happened.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, why don't we talk about relationships and your thoughts on that as a life coach? Maybe somebody needs to who might be listening, maybe look at their relationships, maybe decide some don't serve them anymore, and make that's kind of a tough decision to make, I would assume, right?
Of course, of course, it's always difficult. And Steve, I like to call one of the tenets of my life coaching old school meet new school. And I'm old school in the sense that I believe in marriage. And I think that that's a good thing. That's a
Hmm.
good foundational thing for us to have. And really, if someone has to look at the relationship, whether it be marital or whatever type, and I'm talking strictly about a love relationship,
Okay.
um, as with everything else, it's difficult for us to look at ourselves, look at it in the mirror, and have that reflection. But sometimes, definitely with relationships, you have to do that. So if someone comes to me, I always encourage them and I'm there with them as their coach and championer to look at that relationship. You have to look at the mirror and have it reflect back to see what's really going on. And, we talk about the cracks in the mirror, all those different things. You really need to look at it. And you're absolutely right. Something that I love that you've said is in life, including relationships, there is service. There's a certain servitude that has to be there one to another. And I think that is the number one thing that we have to look for in relationships is how do we serve one another? And I'm a giver at heart and I
Same.
love to give, right? And so sometimes you'll find relationship, you can't have it one way where there's a giver and a taker because I'm telling you, somebody is going to get burnt out and hurt and all of that. So if someone really wants to look at the relationship, we try our best to, keep a healthy relationship together. And we start by looking at it. You have to face it. As with anything else, like when you look in the mirror and say, oh my goodness, I've got this wrinkle, Genevieve. What can you do for the wrinkle? Oh, yeah, I need to change this relationship. Maybe. How can you help? I help with all those changes.
Mm. Why are we such afraid of change? I was
No,
super afraid of change. And then
I know,
eventually just kind of got into that mode of this is the way it is. And it's good. Change is
I
good. But
know.
why are we afraid of it? What do you think?
Well,
Fear of the
we like,
unknown? Is it part of that? And how do we
of
get around that?
course, of course, it is fear of the unknown. And we all like to have certainty and be in control in a certain way. I don't like being out of control. I don't like, for instance, I'll talk about something simple like being on a roller coaster. You will not get this girl on a roller coaster. I've been tricked on a roller coaster and I feel I'm not in control of that roller coaster. So there's a difference between being in control and being controlling, complete different. But I think that that's why often we may stay in things that we're familiar with because that fear of the unknown, that comfort level, that being in control, we're thinking, oh my goodness, if I let go of this, what's going to happen over here?
Mm.
And if we've looked in the mirror and we figure, it's very unhealthy because we all have to be healthy. We're only strong and able to do our passion, live life passionately when we're healthy in every way, including relationally. And I think relationally, that's foundational because that affects how we think about what we look like, how we feel, how we perform in our jobs. It affects our financial output, and input, all of that. And so once we figure out that we have to change this relationship, it's great to have someone come alongside you and say, you know what, it's okay. It's okay to step out in spite of the fear of the unknown, step out and get something that could be much stronger and make you healthy. That's it.
Yeah, with that's, I'm glad you said that in that when you step out, there is better over there. But a lot of times we can't see that. We're afraid to see that. Or
Of
maybe we don't know how to
course.
deal with that. But
Of course.
there can be better. It's
There
okay.
can be better. There can be better. There can always be better. And sometimes when we're in the crux of something, an illness, a
Mm.
relationship like we're talking about, we're thinking, this is it. There is no better. But a life coach comes alongside and gives you that joy, the hope, the faith that there is something better. There can be better. And that's where we start, that there can be better. And we walk through it and go and find that better. And that's really it. Steve, I have changed so much in life. I was born in a little ghetto in Kingston, Jamaica. It was abhorrent, some of the things that I had to overcome. And I'm not saying I did it alone. I've been very, very blessed. And so many amazing people have just loved me and just given to me. And because of that, I'm here today. But because I started there and I went to experience some of the pinnacles of life, in modeling, of course, that had its dark side also. I've had to change a lot. I've changed countries. I've visited 42 countries. I
Wow.
lived out of a suitcase. I've done many different things. And so for me, even though I changed a lot, I was still healthy during those changes. And I can use that experience along with my education to help you change.
So I'm curious. Now, you, like most of us, don't like to be out of control and
No.
don't like change. So when you travel or you find yourself in a different place, or maybe you're moving, whatever it might be, how does that affect you? How do you feel comfortable, staying in your zone, but you're really out of your comfort zone?
Well, Steve, as I mentioned, for me, I think it's innate. I was probably born that I'm one of the few people who I don't mind changing, but the soil that I was born into, I better get used to changing because if there's some bad stuff happening here, you better go somewhere where you're safe, for instance. So when I go to new countries or if I change the job, I would just kind of draw people to me because I love people. And it doesn't mean that you don't love people if you're afraid of change, but it's shocking that even if I didn't speak the language, I would carry on conversation, hand signs. And all of a sudden, I just have this group of people in this newness, this zone of discomfort, being uncomfortable because you don't know. But I would really have that around me. And that's what I say for people when they say, you know what, we're afraid of change. It's because we don't know what's there. But people, what I've learned, people are people, and it's shocking how many people just rally around us. And
Yes,
that's what I always encourage. People will rally around you. Just be you. Just be you. And people will rally around you. And that's how we help for you to look good, feel amazing. And then people will be drawn to you like moth to flame.
I totally agree with you. And if you raise your vibration internally, if you talk about energy, if we believe in energy, people do come up to you. People, like, out of nowhere, people will smile at you if you just change what's coming out of you. And maybe that also takes having a life coach to reframe it. Maybe that takes somebody who's a life coach that has a beauty background, that you will feel better about yourself. And then your natural glow just comes out. You don't even know you're doing it sometimes. Um, Even just smiling, walking down the street, walking into a convenience store and having the right vibe, people
Yes.
are automatically drawn to you. It sounds cheesy, but it's true. You do.
It's so true. It's so true. And it's funny you say that because I'm just I'm blessed. We all have challenges with people and life, of course. But I have these amazing people, and I'm thinking about one couple in especially. They're always smiling. They're literally always smiling, and it's contagious. The opposite is also contagious if we're always frowning. And so that's why I say, come to Wisdom Life Coach. We start on the outside, make you feel good about yourself. You start to smile more. And
Mm,
then when you feel good on the inside with some nutraceuticals, maybe you need, some liver and gallbladder cleanse because the liver filters our blood. And if we have stuff, hormones, undigested food, all these things going on, then you don't feel so good and you don't want to smile. But you're
right.
right, Steve. The simple act of smiling changes your state and the states of those around you. And it doesn't matter what change you have to make, you'll make it better, more effectively.
With a life coach.
With a life coach,
I'm telling you.
especially wisdom life coach, because I know a few things. I have some wisdom on a few things.
You've been around. Somebody wants to work with you. How does it begin? What's your website?
wisdomlifecoach.com. Wisdomlifecoach.com. Simple, that's my website. And the best way is to send me an email. And the reason why my emails get filtered, but I get the emails faster, so someone can get to me faster, especially if they hear through you. So wisdomlifecoach.com and email info@wisdomlifecoach.com. I give a free introductory session because your life coach, you have to have that rhythm, Steve, that dance
Hmm.
to make sure that you feel the vibe of one another. And so I do that, and then we go from there. It's that simple.
Yeah, you gotta see if you dance well together, because everything's relationships. But make that
Everything
change.
is.
The year It's almost here, a brand new one. And why would you want to not move your life forward and enjoy life? Feel that joy, whether it's in relationships or whether it's a job or whatever. We're all thinking about things that we want to change. I got to believe that there changes everywhere. Don't be afraid of it. And now you have the wisdom. She's right over here. She's right there.
Excellent, Steve.
It's great talking
Excellent.
with you, Genevieve. And I don't think it's too early to say Happy New Year.
No, it's not too early. Happy New Year to you too and your valued listeners. And yes, let's make a change together this new
Yeah,
year.
let's make it a good one. Oh, I look forward to talking to you next time we get together.
Me too, Steve. It's always an immense pleasure.
Same here.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.